when Edward was picking out a matching color, he picked one out that was behind all these, and it was Derek's. So, but my pants were like this, and my pants were, you know how old people have their pants up around their... I said, something fucking ain't right here. So anyway, I don't have any braces on today, so my pants will probably fall down. But reading a lot of YouTubes, you know, I told you there's maybe 50 or 100 mini-me's running around that I trained. Well, then there's about 1,000 mini-me's that I didn't train that have just taken the material from free from the website. And so, and contrary, I do read everything that comes in. I don't answer everything that comes in, but I do read, because they always say, I hope you get to see this, or maybe you don't have time to read this. But there's a guy apparently in the Caribbean that uses the material, and he's training these kids, and these are poverty-stricken kids, and putting them on the reporting system, et cetera, et cetera. And there's a lot of people that benefit. But the QLA, if you live in a village and you got dirt on the floor, it isn't going to make you a trillionaire. But it can change your life. And for the most part, you know, we've had kids at this seminar that come from, dirt floors. We've got a kid from the Philippines, from one of the provinces, who's rolling up dental practices in Australia, but was raised in a village in one of the islands, dirt on the floor. About 3 or 4 years ago, when Sally and I, and for those of you that, there's a place called Brando Island, and it's named after Marlon Brando. And Marlon Brando, when he made the movie, one of those South Pacific movies, he fell in love with this area, and so he bought the island and a bunch of islands around it, and but he died before he really developed it. So then, just recently, in the last 5 or 10 years, the heirs to his estate made a joint venture with one of the big property development places, big hotels, and so they made it into a luxurious, extremely expensive resort. And when Sal and I went, we were the only ones there. And a Chinese billionaire was just leaving on his helicopter with his 3 young administrative assistants, aged between, I'd say, 15 and 18. 15, maybe younger than 15, but they looked anyway. So as he took off, Sally and I were landing. But when we were there, on the way there, we stopped off in Tahiti and a couple other little islands. And you know, on my website, if you want to meet me, if I have time, you can schedule a meeting through Thelma. So I was sitting there in the lobby of one of these Polynesian hotels, and a kid comes up, and he's wearing like a native, you know, a native like sarong or whatever it's called, and he's perspiring. He said, "I'm so sorry, I'm late. And he says, if you give me a few minutes, I'll go change. So then he went and changed, and he came back, and I didn't say anything. I'm just listening. I said, you only got 20 minutes from when you got here, so now you only got 3 minutes left. He said, well, the currents were against me. I looked at him, currents. And you're like, wind, water currents? He says, yeah, yes, sir. And he's still perspiring through his clothes now because he hadn't stopped sweating. And I said, well, what do you mean? He says, well, I left the day before yesterday, and I thought I'd be here 7 or 8 hours ago, but the currents were... He paddled. He fucking paddled 200 kilometers. This is what most happens to almost all the kids. They give up. And he says, I thought about giving up. He said, my arms got to, he was built like a fucking Adonis. He says, you know, I'm going to be late. I can't, no, I should go back. He said, but he kept on paddling. We had a guy a few years ago in Memphis, Tennessee, when our daughter was in Memphis, and who came, he passed kidney stones. And he had 4 or 5 kidney stones, supposedly very painful when you pass kidney stones. And 3 of them had passed. He got up and checked himself out of the hospital. 2 more passed while he was driving from Albuquerque to Memphis, Tennessee to get to see me. And I went out and looked at his car, pool of blood in his seat, because that passed. And you think you've tried. This is almost everybody. And then you go on Reddit and you say it doesn't work. And I have countless stories like that. Countless. A few of them got there finally. Finally. How'd you like to be passing kidney stones as you're driving from Albuquerque, New Mexico to Memphis, Tennessee? But the paddling guy is my favorite. The currents were against me, sir. I'm sorry I'm late. If there's a will, there's a way. You can get it done. You can get it done. And in this slide, which has resonated the best since I started the seminars 26 years ago, and I think it's the same slide. It's been updated, but I mean, it's the same message. It's the same message. Now you saw one of my favorites, my old buddy Nick. Love means zero. And I've had the pleasure of talking to him a couple of times. I tried to work something out where we were going to meet, and he's a cantankerous old bastard. What's the takeaway about love means zero? Yes, sir.
The only thing that matters is success and performance. Nothing else matters.
He said, I've been married, 7, 8 times, and can't remember his wife's names. Can't even remember why we got a divorce. I don't remember why I married her, or married them. It's a riot. It's a fucking riot. Now, what else about Nick? Yes, sir.
Nick was laser beam focused on the goal. Training these kids, getting them to where he wanted them to go. Nothing would distract.
Yeah. The second and third and fourth and fifth place coaches behind him, at that time, he had trained 187, I think, 185 world champs. The next guy's 20, 25, 30. Not dissimilar to my record compared to everybody else. And it's his way or the highway. Yes, sir.
Tough and harsh discipline works. Love will never get the job done.
It doesn't. Wouldn't it be nice if love got the job done? Wouldn't it be, I'm glad it doesn't, otherwise I'd be out of business, But I was rich when I started, so it doesn't make any difference to me. But it doesn't get the job done. Yet that's what you're taught. From the time that you're 3 months, 3 weeks, that's what you're taught. What else about Nick? Yes, sir.
His parents, and that was at the very beginning, his parents taught him to be immune to criticism. If you ain't nobody, nobody's going to talk about it. He was taught that from, that's why he was the way he was.
One of the things in the book by Dr. Spock is that there's no such thing as constructive criticism. Kids only understand criticism. And that's why it's very difficult to raise a kid without saying no and not criticizing something when he does wrong. You have to break it back in a positive concept. So it resonates with the little kids as they're growing up in a positive framework. And that's why, how many of us, everybody in this room has heard constructive criticism. Well, it isn't constructive. And especially when you're little, naive, fragile, all you remember is the criticism. What else about Nick? Yes, sir.
The competition in the room between the other players, I think it produced real champions because they're all top level guys. And who you associate with is basically where you're going to end up in. They're all the best in the world.
Show me your friends and I'll show you your future. And the high-performance people, he puts them in a high-performance environment where everybody's expected to win. This is close to that when you're in this test tube environment here. When you get out and leave, default's a bitch because most of you are not married to, live with, raised with, or raising high-performance kids. And they weren't your high-performance role models. I've said it a jillion times, kids don't do, and employees don't do what you tell them to do. They do what they see you do. You roll in at 11:30 in the morning, have a cup of coffee, go to lunch, come back, go to the gym, Are you so stupid and naive as to think that your employees are going to be working, 57 minutes out of 60? A study came out 7 or 8 years ago, and it's worse now, that 40% of the time that your employees, this is a worldwide thing, 40% of the time that your employees are online, they're online not doing work. 40%. And I think it's higher. I don't think I'm almost positive it's higher now. What else about Nick? Yes, sir.
Adjustment versus change, I thought was a really good point. He said if you change something a little bit at a time, that can actually have an impact.
Yeah.
He never looks back.
You can't confuse Nick with the facts. And he's describing all the high performance people that that I've had the privilege of being around. And somebody asked me when the high performance guys like the Musks, etc., are around each other, and I said they're very cordial. They're very cordial, but because they respect what it took for you to get where you are, just as you respect what it took them to get where they are, and that's why when you see high performance athletics and the announcers that are the talking heads that are announcing the games, they rarely slag anybody off, even if they make a mistake, because they've been there and they know how hard it is. So they kind of go with the flow, and they don't criticize the other world class athletes. What else about? Yeah, ma'am.
You said at the start that he had to be controversial and break the rules to stand out because he came from nothing.
And he didn't know anything about tennis. Some people say, other than, how tennis pros, coaches, they hit the ball at the net and they like this. When I was talking to his right-hand guy, nobody alive anyway has ever seen him actually play tennis. I mean, a real tennis match. And you want to know about healthcare. You want to know about bedpans. You want to know about cybersecurity. What a fucking waste. And even though I'm telling you this, and you see that movie in the right spot, but he knew nothing, and he's the best in the world. He still knows nothing. You're going to know more about bedpans than he's learned about tennis in 60 years. Because you can't help yourself. It's in your DNA. And it's a shitty thing to say, but loser's in your DNA. You have loser DNA. Now, if I was one of the other guys who was going to give you a butt-fuck upsell, I tell you, I can show you how you change that loser DNA. But I'd be a fucking cocksucking liar. I'm not going to teach you to change your loser DNA. I'd have to go back and kill your parents and have somebody else pop you out. It's not possible. But we can make adjustments. But you're always going to have that loser DNA forevermore. And you can blame mommy and daddy. Loser! There's nothing you can do about it. What else about Nick? Yes, sir.
He was really using the mindset portion primarily as his coaching mechanism. Like tennis was just a medium to pass successful life-building habits.
Very well said. Very well said. That's almost 100% accurate what he just said. And QLA will change your life forever. I got 3 or 4 emails last night and a couple this morning, and I get them daily. And that said, my life's changed. I'm this. I'm a better parent. And when I say, and I'm making light of it, but it's not. I'm not making light of it because it does change your life. And some of you will take, I don't want you to take 10 years to get rich, but some of you will take 10 years to get rich because you've got so much of the loser DNA in you. And even though I tell you to set your goals as soon as humanly possible, in your mind, well, by the time I'm 35, subconsciously, or by the time I'm 40, or by the time I'm whatever the age, and you can't shake that. You can't shake that. And but we have mapped. We stopped keeping statistics about 5 or 6 years ago because they were so overwhelmingly the same, you know. And to get a hold of you guys, and because once you leave, I'll never see you again. I'll never hear from you. And to track you down and find out, and it was just a pain in the ass. It was a pain in the ass. What else about Nick? Yes, ma'am.
He says, if you try not to do the wrong thing, then you'll never do it right.
That's similar to saying, you know, instead of playing not to lose, playing to win. And most people, not just this group, but most people that come through the seminar have played not to lose all their life. And especially if you got a few bucks and you made 5 million, 10 million, 20 million, and then, oh, fuck, you're scared shitless. I've lost all my money 3 times in my career. 3. The last time I rolled 100% of my net worth, I was 60. 100% of my net worth. Come on, baby, snip. Because I always knew I could make it again. And I made it again every fucking time. I don't want to roll it again, but I know I'd stop. First thing I do is stop this for fucking sure. This would be it. And if I couldn't make $1 million in the rest of $1 billion in the rest of this year, I'd kill myself. This year, how many we got? 6 months left? If I couldn't make a fucking $1 billion, I'd blow my fucking brains out. I'd put it on YouTube and it'd go viral. That's how positive I am. But not you. Woo-hoo-hoo, man. You got 600 grand in the bank, or you got 8 million in the bank. Oh, fuck. I'm going to do that again. Jesus. And you know I'm 100% accurate. Now, for those of you that got nothing, and you're sucking on that tailpipe, you're sucking on that tailpipe, the fumes, because you run out of gas, you got nothing to lose. You can't fall. I'll put it another way. You can't fall off the bottom, kids. You can't. You can't fall off. What about Nick? Yes, sir.
He calls nothing a mistake.
Does that sound like President Trump? Yeah. Me? I mean, Steve Jobs made a bunch of mistakes. But I don't think he ever admitted to one of them. Success leaves clues. Again, all these guys are assholes. Some people that come through here can never even take a step in that direction of the continuum. Because the need to be wanted, the need to be accepted is so great. But you can still have a better life. You might not make, well, when I say much money, you might not make much money, but, and again, since the seminar started 26 years ago, I've heard a lot of people say they want to be billionaire. They make 10 million, I never hear from them again. I mean, literally, they like disappear off the fucking earth. They make 100 million, I never hear from them again. It's like a movie. In the old days, you used to splice movies together. It's like they cut that section out, and they splice it together, and then they tell everybody how smart they were. Because most people, the reason why they don't get in touch with me is because they don't want to, in any way, shape, manner, or form, to give credit to anybody else. I'm going to talk some more. Anybody else. They want you to think that they did it on their own. So that means they really haven't healed their sensitivities. That means they really haven't healed their insecurities or the lack of self-esteem. Just because you're rich doesn't mean you got high self-esteem. I mean, that you know, it's just as I've told ad nauseum till I'm sick to my stomach, that high performance doesn't mean you're a good person, i.e. all these, not all, but some of these, you know, ruthless bastards up there. but you've been led to believe either directly or indirectly that being a high performance person is, you're, they used to use the word decent person. Now, of course, I told you what nice means, but a good person. And a book about 10 or 15 years ago that was written, Good is the Enemy of Great, or something like that, words like that. It's the last thing that I want, you'll never hear me say good job. It's either you're shit or you're terrific. And most of you in the beginning will be shit. And when I was had the privilege of talking to the last year, there was 24, 25 Navy SEALs, Special Forces, Rangers, Green Beret types that were transitioning out of the military, including SEAL Team 6. And I was asked to come and give them a talk for 5 or 6 hours. And they didn't ask any of the other boys to come and talk to them. And I'm not a combat veteran, and I beat them like a fucking rented mule. And I told them how hard it was going to be. It wasn't going to be easy. I got asked at least 5, 6 times, will I get a paycheck twice a month? Or no, will my old lady get a paycheck twice a month? No. You're never going to get a paycheck again from the government. But a lot of them are on disability and they're on crutches, and so they're going to get some kind of money from the government. When I asked the group, how many would give your service to the USA again? Out of 25, 2 people raised their hand. 2. Both pilots. Because it's fun being a pilot. The others wouldn't touch it with a fucking barge pole again. Just like I'd have to be brain dead to do this again. Never. I'd have to be brain dead to buy this motherfucker a place again. I don't need to go to hell more than once. Anything else about Nick? Yes, sir.
He was emotionally detached. That prepared him to take the next stepping stone towards his own success.
It's lonely at the top. I don't want to know you. I don't want to have breakfast with you. I don't want to have lunch with you. I don't want to be your friend. I don't want to be anything. And all the great guys, my definition of great, are exactly the same. My kids have to make an appointment to talk to me. Now, I don't think that's so fucking strange, but I look at the audience every time I say it, and I look at your eyes. Jesus Christ. And I'm not leaving my kids any money. Not fucking 20 cents. Not tuppence. Tuppence is nothing, right? Tuppence? Yeah. Yeah, not tuppence. And the kids all say they're cool with it. I know they're not cool with it. But at least they say they're cool with it. Because they know whether they say they're not cool with it, I don't give a shit. I want my kids 20 years from now to have respect for me, not love. And yet your parents, for some of you, live vicariously through your lives. Now how can, in any way, with 1 or 2 exceptions, in any way your parents be proud of you for what you've done? Change the world any? No. So if they're proud of you, I can just imagine what the fuck they are. Okay, YouTube, thank you.